Hi. In part 2 of my seed pod art video, I showed you how I took the shots that I captured from part 1 and then imported them into Photoshop. And then I told you that I didn't like what I'd done, and I actually went back to the drawing board, shot it again, and re-imported them using Bridge. So I opened them as layers in Photoshop. Then after I had all the layers in there, I went and I aligned them all so they were all aligned. And then the next step I did is I arranged them into 2 different groups. The ones with just the seed pod head that were in focus, and then the ones with the stem that were in focus. Okay. And then I showed you how I use the edit command on the menu to do an auto blend of each of the groups. And that's kind of where I left off. So in today's video, I'll show you the completion of the project. So stay tuned. Thanks for joining me. Saved. Now I'm going to show you what I've actually done with this image. Now, I love the red, but I probably will have a red option as a fine art image, but this particular series of weed seed pod images that I'm making right now are all black and white. So I'm trying to keep it in that family. But I had to make a couple of corrections before I started processing this. And I'm just going to enlarge this a little bit so you can see what I'm referring to. If you look up here, right here, that spot, that's a sensor dust spot from my camera. I need to clean my sensor. So I'm going to need to get rid of that. And then there was another one down here at the bottom, somewhere, like right here. I don't know if you can see it very well. So I took care of that on this layer right here. So now you see it. It's right up here. And now you don't. Okay? So that's what that layer is. It's just my correction layer to get rid of those spots. Then I have a plugin called Nik Silver Efex Pro. And I'll use that to look at different black and white effects to see if I like anything and if I will use it. In this instance, I did like some of the black and white effects. So I turned it into black and white, and I love how this looks. It's exactly how I envisioned it. I did another treatment of black and white just because I wanted to bring out some of the detail in some of these dark areas right here in the center of that bud. See, it's pretty dark down here and over here and in here. So this one is a little bit lighter, a little less contrast right in there. So this is pretty good, but I wanted to make it a little bit more interesting. Right now it's just kind of this diagonal seed pod that goes across my screen. So I like to try different things. One of the things is to add a texture. I'll switch over there to my bridge. And these are all images of different things that I photographed. I have some old books, book covers I photographed, some bark, some brick, some more book covers, some flagstone, just different things. I photographed an old metal wheelbarrow that I have out in the yard, a few different spots on it. Just different types of metal that I find around, the shovel maybe, old tin cans, anything that I can find. These are paper, like the inside of the book covers, there's usually a blank page, and these are old, yellowed, very old books, and so I captured some of those, and I'll use those for textures. These are rocks that were out in the desert. A few of them I've captured. So a stack of paper, just some wood grain things, just different things. So I'll take them and I'll look at my image and think, now what would look nice on that to give it just a little bit more oomph. So what I did is I'll go to File, Place Embedded or Place Linked, it doesn't matter. But Place Embedded brings it right into the file, and so it'll save it right with that file. So I chose that and brought this in, this texture that you're seeing there. Now you can barely see it because I've lessened the opacity of the layer and I've given it a soft light mode. Now let me just turn this all the way up and make it normal, and that's actually what the texture looks like. This is some rock out in the desert when I was out there. I just turned it a grayscale. Okay, so I take that and I've got these different layer modes that you can apply to any layer, and what it does is it just kind of combines it with the layer below it. And I decided I like this soft light layer, but it was a little too strong. It takes away from my seed pod, so I've dropped the opacity to like 25%, and I think that looks real nice. Okay, now there's one more last thing that I did to this image, and that is I wanted to kind of darken down these edges because I don't want your eye to like go off the page here. I want it to just be contained here. All these little lines are all kind of pointing into this seed pod, but I don't want anything to make your eye travel outside of the frame. So I went ahead and I darkened this up. See? I'll do this again. So I've darkened this and I've darkened this just to try and keep the brightest area right there, right where I want you to look. Okay, so I think that I'm done processing this photo. So then I'll save it. Hi, you've just seen how I processed that image, and then I saved it out of Photoshop and brought it back into Lightroom. From there, I have a print module, and I usually print from my Lightroom because I have all kinds of presets that are set up for my different things. In Lightroom, it allows me to do some proofing, some print proofing. And so I did that. I printed my first rendition of it, and this is what it looked like. So it wasn't exactly what I wanted. Let's see if I can get that on. It's way too, oops, sorry. It's way too bright right in there. Okay. So I made some adjustments in my proofing process, and then I printed it out again. And this one is a little bit more what I was looking for. So this one is the finished product. You can just see that a little bit closer. There we go. Okay, so that is my process for how I've created a fine art image using my DSLR and Photoshop and Lightroom in my printer. So thank you for joining me. Hope to see you next time. Bye now.